Now we have the numbers for those among the voters who are unemployed, and here also the Mahagathbandhan has quite a sizable lead, 15% lead, because they have 49% among those unemployed, and NDA stands at 34%. So if we are looking at factors and these numbers hold true, then the disenchantment could also come from the job issue.
Look at that, that gap of 15% gap, 15% gap in favor of the Gathbandhan. The narrative, the meta trends emerging from the Axis My India poll and the poll from Vote Vibe is very different from what we saw yesterday. So those who spent more time looking at what happened during the second phase seem to have come up with a picture very different from those who looked at just a few hours the second phase and came out with their numbers. A 15% lead for the Gathbandhan would essentially suggest a big moral blow for the NDA, because that's a big lead for the Gathbandhan if this is the way data turns out on the 14th. Shubhrashna, what are you making of the Access data?
Yes, so all that you said, and in addition, I would just say that then the conversation will be on narrative of what the Mahagathbandhan sold, what the NDA sold, and what really held ground despite the 10,000 rupee cash transfer in Jivika Didi's account, and the whole conversation about how women voters are really holding the fulcrum of this election. Secondly, I also feel that if Access My India data holds true, it would also mean that hyper-localizing the election, especially assembly election, always works. You do not allow national narratives to dominate the state scene. You stick to the mandate of talking about jobs, of talking about constituency development issues, and it pays you in the long run.
You know, Rahul, I have to say on the issue of jobs, while yes, people may be distressed for lack of jobs, more specifically government jobs, I personally did not find the promise of government jobs clicking with anyone. And this cuts across rural and urban. And hardly any urban.
Students, 48% for Gathbandhan versus 33%. That's a 15% lead. So basically, ladies and gentlemen,
so we have the farmer vote here as well.
Process this data live. What has happened is 2 elections have been fought. One election amongst the young, the unemployed, who were clearly disenchanted. The other, older generation, who felt that they've seen Lalu Yadav's Raj. They didn't want that to come back. 2 completely different elections were executed on the ground. Take a look at the Labour vote on your screen right now. If you look at the student vote, 33% for NDA versus 48% for the Gathbandhan. 41 versus 43 in favor of the Gathbandhan amongst labourers, a 2% lead. 42 versus 43 in favor of the Gathbandhan amongst farmers,